So, but by that stage, when BMW had spent all of their money, they got X5 out of it and some technology, but Rover by that stage was just about dead.
Yeah, there wasn't much left.
So, and that's when Premier Group from Ford came along and bought Land Rover.
Oh, where was Jaguar in this?
It was on the sidelines at that time.
Wasn't part of Rover?
No, it was a separate company, yeah.
But it was part of the Premier Group in the end because...
Well, Ford bought Jaguar because Jaguar was ailing, and they bought Land Rover. Rover disappeared, and now the Chinese have Rover.
Yeah.
So, so you end up with Ford Premier brands was Aston Martin, Volvo, Land Rover, Jaguar.
Yeah. It was Ford's attempt to get into the higher market.
So which is why you end up with the S-Type and the X-Type Jags, which is Mondeo and Ford Mercury.
Yeah.
So, but that's
really,
basically
really
the S-Type and the S-Type and X-Type. So and they kind of let it bumble along a bit.
Didn't really help Jaguar with that, but
no, it didn't help.
Anyway.
But that's beside the point. That kind of, they took it over and streamlined it. They were responsible for putting the Ford engine into the Defender, so the 2.4 Puma Transit.
Back in 2006.
2006, yeah. So the gearbox, the MT82 gearbox, is a Transit gearbox, and then they modified the back end of the gearbox with an extension case that was made up to the LT230 transfer box.
Because the engine was not as long as the TD5.
Well, it wasn't as long as the TD5, and also the fact that the output shaft out the back of the Transit is totally different to the input shaft for the LT230. So you've got to build something in the middle, which is a little conversion.
All right.
So.
Okay.
But yeah.
So BMW owned it for about 10 years, and then Ford came along. And survived 10 years. No.
No. I mean
5 years maybe.
5 years, and then Ford were having horrendous problems in the States.
Land Rover was doing well then.
Land Rover, Land Rover was doing very, very well. So Jaguar was doing very well.
Yeah.
So, but Ford weren't.
Yeah.
And Ford needed to sell Land Rover and Jaguar just to stay in business.
The Premier Group had to.
So, they sold. Aston Martin went back to the original owners.
Right.
Volvo is now, back under the ownership of the Swedes.
Right.
Is it part of GM now?
I'm not sure.
So, but Volvo's gone back into the fold. Back to their roots, and Tata came along and bought JLR.
Or Jaguar and Land Rover
Jaguar
together.
and Land Rover together.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of over in the UK. There was a lot of people who were like, well, this is the end because it's all going to be moved out to India and and they're just going to build cheap vehicles and so on. And Ratton is a very strong Anglophile. He loves the English, and he immediately decided to inwardly invest into the company and spend a lot of money developing new vehicles.
Keeping it in England.
Keeping it in England.
That was a decision as well.
Yeah.
The brand is English.
Yeah. So.
When was this? 5 years ago? Or?
Yeah, it was around about 2011, 2012.
It's not that long ago,
Not
right?
that long ago.
And yet since then, Land Rover has been given the freedom or the width to design their own thing, really. They're not by,
I mean,
these are the
engines,
Ratton,
Ratton put back the responsibility of design back to the design department, headed up by Jerry, and basically said, I want to produce one brand new vehicle every 18 months. Go for it.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing.
That's incredible. That's
So since Ratton took over, I mean, we've had, Evoque, which was the first, really. Okay. Freelander 2 was Ford developed. Okay. So we went Evoque, which uses Freelander 2 platform basically, but it's quite a radical design. So we had the replacement for the Range Rover Sport with the new Range Rover Sport, the L494.
Yeah.
So we had the L405, the replacement for the L322. So we've had Discovery Sport, which is the replacement for Freelander 2.
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting a replacement for the Discovery.
There's a new Discovery coming.
New Discovery coming. So we've got the Evoque Cabrio coming out next year, which was showcased in 2012. But the demand for Evoque without the Cabrio option was so great that they never put it into production until now. The Evoque has actually had, people say facelift, but actually it's a major change. So Evoque now 2016 model is totally different to the original Evoque.
As well, yeah.
So we're producing a lot of vehicles now, a lot of new vehicles, and there will be a replacement for Defender. But eventually, but nobody knows.
There's nothing out there. There's
nothing out there. No, but that's because there is nothing.
There's scoop shots, no spy shots, no information.
We had a bit of a debacle with DC100, and the problem that you've got is that there are a lot of people out there. 75% of all production is still out there. A lot of people are so much in love with that vehicle that to change it requires an awful lot of it requires a mindset change of the enthusiasts. Now, had we released DC100 and not called it a replacement for Defender,
give it another name
and say this is a new vehicle, I think that it would have been better received than had we said this is a replacement for Defender.
Yeah.
The problem is that everybody loves Defender and doesn't want it replaced, but you can't do that. In this day and age, you have to replace it. It's physically impossible to have a vehicle with type approval anywhere in the Western Hemisphere that doesn't conform to the legislation.
But coming back to the earlier discussion, the Defender has a certain design that doesn't lend itself to evolving.
You can't change it. Yeah, you can't change it. So you have to make a new. You have to stop and completely. You've got to throw it away and make a new vehicle. And therein lies the problem.
So you have to,
and whatever it comes up with has to be a fully configurable platform that kind of looks like what we've currently got.
Yeah, it's got to be another tractor in effect. It has to be functional, it has to be used on the farm, the military, services.
I mean, electricity boards, water boards, Coast Guard, RNLI, ambulance, police, fire.
People don't even know how many applications it's used in, really.
Yeah. So that's basically you've got your bonnet. Going back to the original discussion, you've got your bonnet where your engine is. You've got your 2 or 3 front seats where the operator sits, and from that B post backwards is fully configurable. How many vehicles do you know in this world where from that B post backwards can be absolutely anything you want? Because it's just a platform.
Yeah.
Build what you want on it.
And it needs to go anywhere.
That's
the other side of it. So replacing the Range Rover with a new one.
That's easy because
relatively easy.
You take Range Rover and it was a functional vehicle. You round about mid-80s they started to put carpets in it and have extra doors and that sort of thing and bring it a little bit more at market. And then P38A there was a bit more leather, a bit more wood, and air suspension, a bit more comfort. And then you go sort of 2002, then it becomes bigger and fatter and bigger engine and more leather and more wood and bigger chairs and electric operated chairs and and then you go to more 405, more comfort, even more comfort, so
but to create a utilitarian vehicle which conforms
so
to
difficult.
legislation.
So difficult.
Doesn't look it.
No, but you know, everybody says it's Meccano, but no, you cannot. Cars aren't built that way anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you have a monocoque shell which has all the strength. You know, how many cars these days have a separate chassis?
Yeah, not many. No.
You know, talk about pickup trucks, yeah, but they're all pickup trucks.
Yeah, they're not station wagons as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a fully configurable vehicle. Make it how you want.
Now, how many versions were there? 50? For instance.
For instance.
That's just the basic ideas of.
Yeah, I mean the basic ideas. I mean you've got obviously, you know, 3-door and 5-door. But you had station wagons. You had ones with van sides. You had ones with van sides with windows. You had pickups. You had high capacity pickups, flatbeds, hydraulic platforms on top, tippers, fire appliances, 6-wheel versions. 130 where you had 5 seats and a high capacity pickup at the back.
Yeah.
So,
it's
you
a
know,
truck.
you name it. You know, they would configure it for you. You know, I mean the options, the options that were available to the utility companies. I think there's about 30 or 40 different options you could have from the B post backwards.
Yeah.
You know, even now they still supply vehicles which is a cab.
Yeah.
And then nothing behind it. Literally just the chassis rails come out the back and a manufacturer will build it, you know, their own.
That's how it's delivered to your door.
That's how it's delivered to your door, and you build whatever it is on the back end of it.
Yeah.
So
trying to replace that.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult.
So it could take a few more years. Who knows? It's the best kept secret.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on.
The best kept secret.
Which is astounding these days. Land Rover's doing well at the moment. They're on their own. I mean, they've given free rein, as it were.
So I mean, we just opened the Ingenium engine plant in Wolverhampton. Ratton decided that no longer would engines be supplied by third parties, which has happened for quite a while now.
Yeah.
The engines in the current vehicles are Jaguar Land Rover, but they are Ford PSA derivatives. So Peugeot, Citroën, Ford, you know, conglomerate. Engine development's very expensive these days, so most of the manufacturers share power units, share gearboxes, because that costs money, and then just have them honed to their own, you know, specifications.
Tweaked or
so, but Ratton's gone back to the original principle where Land Rover, the engines were made in-house, you know.
Up to TD5 even, yeah.
Well, TD5 was in-house, Rover V8 in-house, well, say in-house, Buick engine, but took it in-house. So now we have the 2-litre diesel engine, 4-cylinder at the moment, Ingenium.
Which is a very good engine.
So, which is a very good engine, very economical, very low on emissions, and that's purely designed in-house and built now in-house as well.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be configurable into, you know, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, V format, you know.
Yeah.
That's going to be fully configurable for the whole of the range over time.